All right, guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to lose your love handles for good, okay? So I get a lot of questions about this, guys saying, oh, my love handles, I can't seem to lose them. Now, if you look at my physique, I am pretty lean, yeah? Let's just say it is what it is. I'm pretty lean. And look, I still have like fat on my hips, okay? Because that is the last place to come off for me. It is probably the last place to come off for you. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll start to diet for a few weeks, they don't see progress, they're off and they're gone, okay? We're never gonna get there. If you have genetics, we've all got different areas where we store fat. Most men, they always have fat around their midsection. I'm not one of them. I'm somebody that has a very lean midsection all the time. But if you could see my fucking legs, if you could see my legs, I have a lot of fat on my legs, I have a lot of fat on my glutes, and I have a lot of fat on my back. You guys just don't see that because I don't show you. But in order for me to really bring in my lower back, I have to diet down really hard. And a lot of people simply aren't willing to go there. And it's because they don't set themselves up for success at the start. They go too hard, too quick. They're not on a proper plan. Like if you said to me, right, Max, you've got to get rid of this lower back fat. I know I've got a solid 8 to 10 weeks ahead of me, which means I should probably be on a plan that I can stick to. I'm not just going to say, oh, fucking low carbs and loads of cardio every day. No, I need to slowly bring down my carbs, slowly drive up my cardio, be dialed in with my food, make sure my tracking's on point, and slowly everywhere will get super lean, everyone will get super lean, and then last but not least, my lower back will come in, okay? So it just tends to be genetics. You might be someone that holds on your chest, on your stomach, women on your thighs and bum. The bit you hate the most is gonna come in last. So you need a plan that you can stick to long-term because it's not happening in the first few weeks. That's why in order to remove kind of these love handles, I would really recommend having as much muscle as possible or training to build muscle as your primary source of training. Because we know the more muscle we have, the better our metabolism will be. The better our metabolism is, the more food we can eat. And the more food we can eat, the easier it is to diet. If you said to me, Max, I'm gonna get rid of these love handles in 4 weeks, but you have to eat 1,400 calories, I simply couldn't do it. I would crash and burn, okay? But because I've built a lot of muscle over the years by doing sensible gaining phases and dieting and reverse dieting, which by the way, I've got so many videos on this in my course below, shameless plug if you want it. I'm able to diet down on higher amounts of calories because I've done the work over the years to build my metabolism up. So for me, I'm happy with this. Is super easy for me to maintain. Not easy, but for most people, they say, fuck, that's a lot. But for me, this is what I like to do, and I can maintain this comfortably, okay? So for you, if you're already on 1,800 calories and you don't have much muscle and you've got to diet down to 1,600 calories and do it for 5 months, it's not going to work for you unless you're super dialed in. So you need to build as much muscle as possible over the years by doing sensible gaining phases and then going into fat loss phases. And another gaining phase into a fat loss phase. And over time, you're building up your calories, build muscle, lose a bit more fat, build muscle, lose a bit more fat, until eventually you can eat a decent amount of calories, you've got a decent amount of muscle, and then for you to diet down, you can do it on a decent amount of food. That's how you can go from very lean to shredded or to ripped. Because of this, we know that we're gonna have to be doing a lot of cardio. Obviously, it's gonna start low and build up over time. When we're talking about getting into these areas, the nitty gritty parts of dieting, which is they come off in the last 4 to 6 weeks when you're absolutely knackered and it's hard. It's really important that our cardio and steps are dialed in, okay? If your goal is to get very, very lean, I really recommend doing steady state cardio over high intensity interval training. Why? High intensity interval training is very fatiguing, okay? It massively taxes your nervous system, it massively increases appetite, and the big one for me is it obviously affects training performance. Go and do a brutal CrossFit or High Rocks class, and then go on a Sunday, and then go and train on Monday and tell me if you lift the same as you did the previous Monday. You go in there with all that fatigue, your training suffers. Once you're in a heavy deficit and your training starts to suffer and you lift more load, there will be a decrease in muscle over time because your body has no reason to keep it. That decrease in muscle leads to a decrease in metabolism, and then you'll plateau quicker, and then you've got to keep dropping food, or increasing cardio, which means increasing fatigue again and increasing hunger. And you end up in a horrible place where you're having to starve yourself and do loads of output. What happens? Every time there is a crash and burn, and then there tends to be a rebound at the end of it. The better way, which is what I do with myself and all of my clients, shameless plug if you want coaching, is steady state cardio, starting at 20 minutes a few times a week, go to 30 minutes a few times a week, go to 35 minutes 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 30 minutes 7 days a week. By doing this, It's not going to massively increase appetite. It's actually going to aid in recovery. It's more fun, in my opinion. Like, you can sit on a bike and get some work done, read a book, get emails done, watch something, reply to work stuff. You can kill time like that. And it doesn't affect training performance. What is the key thing we're looking for when it comes to getting ripped, which is what we're talking about? If we're talking about removing the last bit of stubborn body fat, we're talking about getting ripped, okay? It's going to be the last part of the diet where it happens. So we know that we want calories as high as possible. We know we want fatigue as low as possible. And we know we want training to be dialed in, okay? Steady state cardio will not affect this. So steady state cardio over HIIT cardio when it comes to getting ripped. And as we know that this is going to take a long time, this is going to come in at the end, it's very important that we keep calories as high as possible, okay? So when you're starting this fat loss phase to get rid of your lower back fat or glutes or stomach, wherever it is, you want to start with the highest amount of calories possible, the lowest amount of cardio. Over time, we increase cardio, decrease calories. Increase cardio, decrease calories. All of these are just stripping off more body fat. We plateau, increase cardio, decrease calories, increase cardio, decrease calories. That might be over a 12 to 16 week period, and that might be enough. Imagine if you said, right, day one, calories, we're going to go to 1,500, cardio, we're going to go 7 times a week with high rocks, CrossFit, spin, we're going to do everything. Yeah, you're going to lose loads of fat very quickly, but you're not sticking to it for 12 to 16 weeks. And let's say you're fucking militant and you do, and you get there. You're not sustaining it afterwards. So there'll be a monstrous rebound and you're going to end up fatter than you were before. Slow and steady wins the race. If you can't sustain the plan, you can't sustain the result. Another thing I go into in detail in my course below. One more thing that's crucial as well is you need to keep your strength up at all times. Again, it leads into don't do HIIT cardio, don't slash calories too low, don't do a crazy amount of load and volume. 3 to 4 lifting days a week is plenty. The goal at the start of a fat loss phase versus the end of a fat loss phase is to be just as strong. You don't lose all your muscle and strength because you go into a fat loss phase. Really, if you're 100 kilos, you diet down to 80 kilos. The goal is to lift what you're lifting at 100 kilos, but at 80 kilos, so technically you're stronger. It's not, oh, I'm dieting down now, so instead of benching 120, I'm going to bench 80 because, no, still try and fucking bench 120. But instead of 10 reps, you might be doing 6 or 7 reps. But those 6 or 7 reps at 120 is going to lead to you keeping your pecs, which means keeping your delts, keeping your triceps, which means keeping your lats, biceps in the chins and things like that. Keep your lifts as high as possible and your weight as much as possible on the lifts, which means 3 to 4 training days a week is plenty, because you do not recover properly with 5 or 6 sessions a week when you're in a deficit trying to pull off the last bit of fat, which means you're in a deep, deep deficit and your fatigue is very high. And that leads me to my final point here, which is you need a plan you can stick to. This is why it's crucial to have a deficit you can stick to, where you start high and come down. Cardio plan you can stick to where you start low and come high, a training plan that you can stick to for months after the fat loss phase is finished so you can actually maintain it. We don't want to lose our love handles for a photo shoot. We want to lose our love handles for fucking 10 photo shoots and summer and still have them gone in a year's time. So you have to be able to stick to the plan you've got, which means being conservative and having patience is the way forward. And remember, guys, it does just come down to genetics. Some people, like me, I diet for 2 weeks, my stomach comes in. And then my stomach comes in and I'm ripped all the time and I've got a fat lower back and fat quads, which you don't see. So everyone's got different genetics. And if you're somebody, you'll have the body part you hate that just never comes in and you hate it. That's the bit you just need to stick to long enough. We've all got body parts that we hate and these take longer to come in. Stay patient, stick to the plan. And if you want someone to do all the hard work for you, hit the course link below. Shameless plug. See you in the next one.